Hey, welcome to Life Extension Live. I'm Dr. Mike. And this is
Dr. Crystal.
Today we're going to be talking about hot and cold therapies.
Yeah, I'm excited about this show.
But this is not about using hot and cold when you have an injury, right? This is different.
This is talking about, or we will be talking about whole body heat therapy or cold therapy.
And some of the benefits and some of the research. So on today's show, we're going to be talking about heat, cold, and their benefits. And which one is better if there is a better one?
That's right. There are a lot of claims out there, Dr. Mike, and I think this show, it surprised me because I kind of had my own preconceived ideas about the benefits because I've done some of these
I know
therapies.
You have. We'll talk about some of your experiences. Again, Dr. Crystal has tried things. That's
yes.
pretty much the norm for us. Let's start with cold.
Mm-hmm.
Cold therapies. Generally speaking, claims for immune health, weight, longevity, mental clarity, and we'll get into some of the specifics coming up. But before we do, let's talk about how do you do cold therapy? What are my options?
Yeah. So there are two main options. There's cold water immersion, and then there's cryotherapy, which is using nitrogen gas, and you go into this chamber.
I know you've tried that.
I tried that as well.
Now let's start with then I guess the cold water. Let's start with the immersion stuff, right?
Yeah.
You see this on TikTok and stuff now, right? That's what that is, right?
I'm seeing it all over the place. There is someone, I thought it's Kevin Hart had a podcast or something where him and the guests, they're in ice baths.
They did it?
They are. So I've seen several episodes where they are in ice baths. So that's something you're seeing. You see these cold plunges, but it could also be something as simple as a cold shower. Now in South Florida, my water doesn't get very cold.
It doesn't get quite that cold as it does
right,
up
but
north.
I mean up north, that's also an option.
Yeah, and so now I think the water immersion therapy that it's been around. College athletes have done this a lot. Professional athletes. I think we even had one when I was in high school.
Oh, really?
I remember something because I hurt my ankle once and I had to put my foot in. I guess it was maybe one of the first ones. I don't know because this is a long time ago, Dr. Crystal. So that the idea of using cold for injuries and stuff like that have been around, but we want to investigate more beyond that in the whole body stuff.
Yeah, I mean, because a lot of the claims you're seeing are for longevity, kind of the anti-aging, weight.
Now
that's a big one,
and we got some research coming up on that.
Yeah.
Tell me about the Wim Hof of the Netherlands. This is different, right? Or it's not different.
So it's similar, but it also involves some meditation as well as breathing exercises as well as cold immersion. So that's a kind of a type of cold therapy. You also mentioned something about some polar bear
club.
I've never heard of a polar bear club, but Dr. Mike seems to think that it's famous, or at one point it was famous.
It's huge. It's been around a long time. Here's a little video. That I don't know if that's the polar bear club, but the idea it started in Chicago.
That looks dangerous.
You got to make sure you get back up in the hole. It started in Chicago, and it was a group of people that just in the middle of winter would jump into, what is it? What do they have there? Lake Michigan, whatever that.
The Great Lakes.
Yeah, they would just jump in. We don't know our geography very well.
But there's a big lake.
And so people started calling them the polar bears. Just because of what they're doing. Because this has been around. If anybody else knows about polar bears, let us know. I mean, I know this has been
tell
around
us about it. Are you a part of the Polar Bear Club? Send us a note in the chat and tell us about your experience. But this was something where you paid a membership. Like you actually paid to be tortured.
Yeah. So let's get back to, if you want to do cold water immersion, what's the temperature I need to, what's the range I need to shoot for? How long do I need to do this for?
30 to 40 degrees, 2 to 3 minutes.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Not a long time. Now, in the winter time, now I have a pool, and before we had a pool heater, I used to
but that's not
swim.
30, 40 degrees.
But that's cold.
Yeah, but
Like, you know, 60
was,
degrees feels really cold.
that's not even close to 30. That did not count as water immersion therapy.
But it's definitely an option if you have a pool in the winter. Don't turn on the heater.
Save you some money too.
Yes.
Cryotherapy. Now this is the interesting. This is more new stuff. The idea of cryotherapy has been around for a while, and some people believe that you can freeze the body and do all that kind of stuff, and it can come back. That's kind of where a lot of this came from, right?
Right. But what we are talking about are these cold chambers, almost like a
here we go. Here's a picture.
Yeah, tanks with sub-zero degrees between -148 and -220 degrees Fahrenheit. And this is brief exposure. Again, I have tried this as well, and I was able to last right at a minute. They give you gloves to put on, and so you protect your extremities where you would be losing the heat. But it's frigid, and so you're seeing these cryo spas. It's almost like these health spas. For me, it's at my gym, and you can pay about $30 for a session. And
but what were you trying to achieve with this? Like, how many times did you do this?
I did it once.
Okay, that's okay.
Because I was hoping it would be something that I would enjoy and I would do regularly, but at my first experience, I couldn't handle it.
So I would assume the goal would be to do this on a more consistent basis.
Yes.
And that's where you're going to start seeing some of the
recovery purposes.
Yeah.
And so that's
we
why
got research on that.
Yeah, that's why they are at the fitness centers.
Negative 148 to negative 220.
Right, but it doesn't feel as cold as the cold water immersion.
Yeah,
I'll tell you that.
That's interesting. Now, the reason I do like this kind of stuff is because it kind of goes along with something Dr. Crystal and I believe, and that's something called hormesis, right?
Yes.
Hormesis is just a fancy little name for a little bit of stress can actually produce some good benefit, right?
Yes, it ramps up the body's immune defenses. It helps to target inflammation. It ramps up healing.
Right.
It just tells the body, hey,
wake up a little.
Wake up.
Get
Something's
ready.
wrong here. And so you need to prepare yourself for further stress.
So let's get into some of the research then, specifically on cold. Now, I don't know. I think some of the research was water immersion. Some might have been cryotherapy.
Yes.
We just kind of lumped it together, I think, really is kind of
some we
cold.
do have some details as to the type, like one, inflammation and exercise recovery. Cold water immersion, it has been found to delay muscle soreness after exercise and improve muscle fatigue recovery. And I would have to say, just as a blanket statement, this category of health benefits with just inflammation, muscle recovery is where we find the most compelling evidence.
Right. And there was even a review of the literature showed that this kind of consistent cryotherapy could reduce overall like muscle pain by like 80% or something along those lines. I kind of get this because we know extreme cold can limit muscle damage when something happens, like with a heart attack. There are medical centers. I don't think there's a lot. I think it's still debatable, right? I think the research is it's a little controversial, but the idea is when somebody comes in with acute heart attack, is you really get them cold, and you slow down inflammation. You slow down the damage that can happen.
Right, and so that's one aspect. Slowing down that damage.
There's a flip though to this.
There's the flip side. So if you are exercising and you're looking for recovery, the question is, do you want to slow down that process because you're inflicting damage on purpose? That's how the muscles grow and stronger. So there is some schools of thought that maybe you should incorporate that cold water immersion, maybe 48 hours after the exercise, so that you can still get the benefits
Yeah.
of that.
That seems a little
exercise.
long after the exercise, though. I mean, you would think you want to get a
Well, I
little
think
sooner,
at 48 hours, if you're still kind of sore,
sore.
maybe you need it.
Maybe you need to take a break. And we do know some studies have shown people with inflammatory conditions like rheumatoid arthritis, cryotherapy seems to work pretty well. Tell us about brain health.
Yeah, so a recent review also suggested its use for chronic brain disorders, mild cognitive impairment, general anxiety, depressive episodes, and neuroinflammation. Now, in general, the authors of this review study did note that the quality of the data, not the best quality data, but we do have some indication that it's promising for brain health.
Yeah. I think the end result is more research needs to be done,
Yes.
more high quality research. There's enough out there to make you go, there's maybe something here. It's just we can't be conclusive yet.
Right. And so then that takes us to the next area where we shouldn't make absolute statements about cold exposure and weight loss.
I mean, weight's your weight is multifactorial, and losing weight is multifactorial. So you already know I don't like it when we hone in on one thing and talk about weight. I think we always got to take that step back.
Right. Yes.
Right. But there is some research looking at this with cold. Now, was this weight research water immersion or cryotherapy? Do we know that? Or
so what I'm seeing is it looks like it's water immersion. Those details aren't here, and that's probably because we don't have all the details. Really aren't there yet. But the idea, the concept behind weight management or weight loss is that it's activating thermogenesis, activating brown fat. That is your fat that produces heat on its own.
So your metabolism could come up, and then if you're exercising, eating a little bit less, it aids in your weight loss progress. Is what it does. At this point, we can't say that it's a weight loss program by itself or anything.
No, but we do see the activation in mice of the brown fat. So
I see this here. So the mice, so their daily energy expenditure went up compared to the mice that didn't have the cold therapy. So listen, it's a start.
Yeah, maybe help you to just burn more energy, burn more calories at rest. Yeah. That's the idea of activating brown fat.
Right. Okay. What about stress?
Yeah. Now I can tell you personally,
Go
I am on a high. Even if I just take a cold shower, it makes
it does something.
It does something. Now, of course, you've mentioned that Wim Hof training program where they're incorporating breathing exercises and meditation as well as cold water immersion. But there is data, somewhat mixed, but an 8-week program, there were reductions in stress response. And so potentially it could be beneficial.
Of course, the problem with that, when you study something, you want to, there's two different things that are going on because we already know breathing techniques help reduce stress too. So it's hard to know really. So again, combination thing working and it might be helpful. I agree too. I at times will turn at the end of the shower, turn that. I was raised to believe that when you're done coming out of hot water, you always want to finish in cold because it closes your pores again.
Oh.
And you don't want to keep your pores open because that's where you get oily skin. I don't know. That's just what I was told. I'm not sure, but I remember my mom telling me that. So I've always done that a little bit. I don't do it every time, but I'll kind of get that cold water and just let it hit you and turn it off.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing. If you've never tried it, you really should. I encourage you to try it.
So if I'm going to do cold water therapy, what in your opinion, what's the best thing to do here? Should I buy? I mean, number one, why can't I just put ice in my bathtub? I don't know why do I have to buy? Well, people buy these fancy things, right?
They do.
So I probably would want to do that. So do I do that, or do I go to your gym and get into that cryotherapy booth?
Right. So there was a study that compared cold water immersion to whole body cryotherapy, found faster recovery from exercise associated with cold water immersion.
Okay.
So I would say save your money,
Yeah.
buy a bag of ice,
That's right. Just
run a bath, put the ice in your bath.
get in for a couple minutes.
Yes.
Yeah. That's
Check with your doctor first. Let's cover ourselves.
always say that. Always say that. Yes, please. That's
Make
just
sure your doctor
that's our
says
standard.
it's okay.
That's our standard disclaimer. So if you're watching right now, share your experience if you've tried water immersion versus cryotherapy. Could you make it longer than Dr. Crystal? What did you say?
About a minute.
Yeah. And it's supposed to be 2 or 3 minutes, right?
Right.
Yeah. You didn't do very well.
Yeah, I was disappointed in myself.
All right. Let's switch now and go to heat therapy.
Right.
Okay.
And we have more research on heat
Yeah.
than cold.
We do, and so well, let's talk about it at the end. Let's go through the
Yeah.
kind of the benefits, because there might be a reason for that.
Yeah.
Anyways, okay, so let's start off with just traditional Finnish saunas.
Yeah, I mean, this is what we see on TV, what you see there. Wood, special stones on top of that wood.
This one looks like it has
usually.
infrared.
Yeah, that does look like the infrared version.
Oh,
but
there's the stones in the
that's
wood.
the stones.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you put your water on the stones, and it creates the steam with the heat. You know, I have a sauna at home.
Yeah.
We have just a little spray bottle that we spray on the rocks.
Oh, you wait. You have a sauna at your house?
Yes. It's
She has
the
everything.
previous owners. They were really into kind of health and wellness and fitness, and
Yeah.
they added on a sauna. And
So you guys get in there, squirt.
yeah, and then you put the water on the stones and you get some
Okay.
steam. Temperatures are pretty hot. Again, if we look at Celsius, 80 to 100 degrees Celsius, 176 to 212 Fahrenheit.
Mhm.
So pretty hot, and that's kind of
And I remember
we
this.
typically see.
And remember what I said about growing up, if you're coming out of the hot shower, turn it on cold, close the pores.
Yeah.
That is recommended with these saunas, that you you jump into a pool. In Finland, they roll in the snow. I don't know.
must be nice.
I don't know if I would go that far. But you are supposed to cool off a little bit, kind of reset your own temp, close those pores. Interesting, huh?
Yeah.
We should do some research on that pore thing.
We should, Dr. Mike, and I probably shouldn't say this, but I am. But I used to do like the hot with the cold plunge, and the other thought was the pores are open, and when they're closing really quickly, when you're going into the cold water, that is pushing out toxins
I think
from the pores.
I don't think it's an old wives'. I think there's something to it. We should
Yeah.
we should get on that. Now that one, Hannah, can we go back to that picture that you
The
had
infrared,
up there?
the one before that.
I think that one. There you go.
Yes.
That is a special type known as infrared. So why?
Yeah.
What's so special about that?
And there are two types. So there's the near infrared, shorter wavelengths, penetrate deeper, and far infrared, which uses longer wavelengths to produce heat. So now we're kind of penetrating that heat deeper into the tissue.
So
for more healing.
Like that one right there,
Mhm.
that's going to be near infrared, right? Because that's you're penetrating. We don't know, or is that one just producing heat? I don't know. But so which one do I want to do?
You can do the infrared.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just the so you can get because
You're asking the far versus the
Yeah,
near.
like
Yeah,
which
the
one?
far, so it's getting deep, penetrating deeper.
Okay, yeah, and you'll see a lot of even massage therapy stuff
Yeah.
is coming with infrared lights.
Mhm.
I don't know how good those are, but you are starting to see infrared pop up a lot.
Oh, and the infrared sleeping bags.
Sleeping bags, blankets.
Yes, they are very popular and not very expensive. And the infrared heating pads.
Yeah. Look at that. You probably have some, don't you?
I don't.
Okay. All right. Now, if you don't like the saunas, infrared, you can also just do good old fashioned jacuzzi.
Yes.
Get on
There's
in there.
Nothing better than a good old
Get
jacuzzi.
on in there. Right. Make sure the temperature is between what do we say, 100 to about 107?
Yeah, to me that's a little too hot.
Okay. I don't know.
A little too. I like around maybe in the 90s.
Okay.
90s.
Oh
That's
no,
a nice
that's just
temperature.
that's
like 98
that's an
is a
irritating
great
that's an
temperature.
irritating warm bath.
No.
You need it. Come on, you got to get hot.
Yeah.
You want to sweat.
But be careful with your jacuzzis. You don't want to pass out.
Don't drink when you're in those jacuzzis.
Number one, and make sure your doctor says it's okay again, because jacuzzis you can quickly get
overdo
lightheaded.
it. Yeah, you can overdo it. So
and people sit in there longer than they're supposed to.
Yeah.
So 10 minutes.
And you got to get on out.
Yeah.
And then cool off, probably like with the saunas. Go jump in the pool, go something like that. Okay. What are some of the health benefits for heat therapy? Probably the main one, vascular disease.
Yeah. So
that specifically with saunas.
Sauna bathing, vascular disease. A review published in Mayo Clinic Proceedings stated that there's evidence that sauna bathing may reduce the risk of vascular disease, including high blood pressure, cardiovascular, and neurodegenerative diseases.
It goes beyond that too. There's evidence for pulmonary, lung health, improvement in arthritis, even headache and flu, which is interesting because usually when you have the flu and a fever, you want to cool down. But if you have a headache, I guess we up a little bit. May help you fight the virus a little bit more.
I know.
And it helps with headaches and stuff. Interesting.
And then this study, we want to spend some time on this study that was published in JAMA Internal Medicine. This was a Finland sauna usage study. This was a population study where they kind of reviewed the duration as well as the number of sauna bathing per week.
Right. Now, before you do this, what's funny about this, when we looked at it, right? So just about everybody does saunas in Finland. And so instead of having one group with sauna and another group without it, they couldn't find anybody to do without it because they love their saunas.
Right.
So the group that was supposed to be without sauna was only allowed one
It was
week?
just one weekly session.
Okay, yeah.
That's so when they kind of looked at the data in this population, they were able to categorize between 1 week sessions of 2 to 3, and then 4 to 7 sauna sessions per week. And what they found, the researchers reported, are you ready, Dr. Mike?
I'm ready.
63% lower risk of sudden cardiac death
pretty big.
Among middle-aged men who engaged in 4 to 7 sauna bathing sessions per week compared to the 1 weekly session.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
There were also similar associations with coronary heart disease, cardiovascular disease, and mortality.
If you go back to that, what was it? When you have 63% lower sudden cardiac death? That's hard to deny. That's a good stat. Again, I'd like to see it'd be great if we could do sauna versus no sauna and see what the difference would be there, right? But that's one of those things where it's a great start, I think, and I'd love to see more research on it. Yeah,
and what it tells us is if you're into sauna therapy, then they've kind of given us a nice prescription. So if it's something that you do at your local gym, then maybe do it more than just once or twice a week.
Yeah. And if you're going to do it, you want to go ahead and do it for 19 minutes was kind of the key point. That had better results than, say, what was it, 10, 11 minutes? Yeah.
Less than 11 minutes.
2 to 3, 4 sessions, stay in for about 19, 20 minutes. That's your sweet spot.
Yeah.
There you go. So some good research for saunas. Infrared seems to be good for muscle soreness. So there you go. Seems that it improves performance following exercise, improvement in pain, stiffness, and even fatigue, especially in people with inflammatory issues like rheumatoid arthritis.
Yeah. And then hot water immersion seems to be...
Wait a second.
Yes.
Isn't that a jacuzzi?
Yes.
Okay, good.
That's what we're referring to.
Yeah, I was thinking you have something special now. Like, it's even hotter.
No. So we're just kind of comparing the different types of heat, because you have the sauna, you have the infrared, and then you have the jacuzzi or the water immersion. And the reason we want to, I'm kind of excited about water immersion, and you've noticed this, it's because it's almost... there is more hydrostatic pressure on the body.
Okay.
And so it's shown to have some more cardiovascular benefits.
So don't listen, saunas look fancy, but good old fashioned jacuzzi.
Yeah.
It's and in America we have more access to jacuzzis, right? I mean, almost if you have a pool, most people have a jacuzzi with it.
Yes.
Most jacuzzis are at a lot of your gyms still, all that kind
Mhm.
of stuff. So there you go. Now let's end all this. So that was good information on cold therapy, great information on heat. So heat versus cold. What would be? And again, we're not talking. I don't want to talk about specific like injuries,
Mhm.
because by the way, if you injure yourself and you have swelling, it's always best to do cold first. Heat can come in later, right? You want to get that swelling down. We're talking more. If you had to choose for longevity, for heart, for all that stuff we just brain,
Right.
what would you do?
Heat.
Because
There's just more research.
Yeah.
But the state of the data is more compelling for heat. So
yeah. Now, of course, if we can get some more cold research, it may balance out a little bit
Yeah.
more.
mhm.
I think the heart disease stuff, heat. I think longevity, cold.
Oh,
Just giving you
I didn't
my-
think you were
my-
going to say that.
my thoughts. I don't know. She just doesn't listen to my thoughts that much. So it doesn't-
Yeah, I like the heat. I like the idea of sweating out those toxins, jumping in the shower to kind of then rinse the toxins off.
yeah.
I like that idea.
So there you go, hot and cold therapies. Hopefully you learned a lot. Let us know in the comments, and let us know your experiences with some of these things. Definitely want to know if you lasted longer. If you've done cryotherapy and you've lasted longer than a minute, let us know.
Yes.
And we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
I bet there's a lot of people that did it longer.
Yeah, and just tell us your experience. I would love to hear any outcomes that
Right.
your good positive experience or negative.
Yeah, I mean, let's learn together. Yeah,
Right.
that's how we learn. That's how we evaluate and
Mhm.
investigate, and that's how we make better recommendations. So let us know some of the down stuff as well. Is this an article we have?
Yes, it's a wellness blog.
Okay, there it is, lifeextension.com/hot cold. Again, Life Extension's wellness blogs just go into a lot more of the research.
Mhm.
You get a little bit more of the details at lifeextension.com/hot cold. Great information, Dr.
Yes.
Crystal.
Mhm.
Don't forget, we go live every Wednesday at 12 noon. So thank you for joining us today. Wherever you watch us on, we got YouTube, Facebook,
LinkedIn,
I don't know. I think there's more. I'm not sure.
Instagram.
Wherever you watch the show, click the interested button, ring the bell, so that way you're always notified when we go live. That's 12 noon Eastern time every Wednesday. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Dr. Mike.
I'm Dr. Crystal.
We'll see you next Wednesday.